Hi, I'm Rosenberg. Welcome to my latest YouTube video and podcast. Before I talk about today's subject, the Valentine's Day Narcissist, I want to announce this new initiative that my company, the Self-Love Recovery Institute, and I have started. It's called the Self-Love Recovery Mailbag. At the end of every video, I will be answering a question that one of my listeners or viewers have provided me. From this point on, including this video or podcast, I'm encouraging you all to write a question that you would like me to answer. If it's a YouTube video, well, write it in our comment section. If it's the podcast, send it to us in email at help@selfloverecovery.com. And this will be fun. Every video and podcast that I do will end with the Self-Love Recovery Mailbag with an exciting new opportunity to discuss new topics, address new information, address new issues and problems, give new information, and answer a lot of questions. So today I want to talk about the Valentine's Day Narcissist. But before I begin, let me explain basically what I consider a narcissist. When I use the term narcissism or narcissist, I'm referring to the human magnet syndrome bonded couple. The one individual has pathological narcissism, that is having one of three personality disorders: borderline, narcissistic, or antisocial personality disorder, and the SLD, or the self-love deficient person, aka the codependent. They go together like a magnet. The two are irresistibly attracted to each other, and it's virtually impossible to break that habit unless you work really hard in a focused manner on what I call the Self-Love Recovery Treatment Program. So you are probably a codependent or an SLD, and you're wondering, what the heck is a Valentine's Day narcissist? Oh, good question. Let's start off by saying it is someone who either has narcissistic personality disorder. So let's start off by saying it's one of the three personality disorders, and they're individuals who largely are negligent, lazy, and unmotivated to be very nice, sweet, romantic, intimate throughout the whole year, except for Valentine's Day and other selected days that are important to them or holidays. It's then the pathological narcissist gets to reinvent reality, gets to pretend that they are something that they really are not. The lifelong pursuit of love, respect, caring, trust, and protection by someone who you believe will give that to you, but who ends up not. So if you are not self-love deficient, and let's say you're the average healthy person that loves themselves, which, by the way, self-love or self-love abundance doesn't necessarily mean you don't have problems. While that is completely a misnomer, it is not true. You can love yourself and have problems. The difference is you rely on yourself, your own inner resources to solve them without self-sabotaging yourself. And if you cannot resolve it by yourself, you seek help, whether it's by friends, loved ones, a special person, someone who belongs to a church, synagogue, mosque, a counselor, a coach, a psychiatrist. You seek help from others because your love for yourself is so solid, you'll protect it. And then when Valentine's Day comes around, you're not depressed and sad, that you don't feel like you're alone and lonely and everyone else is having fun. No, you have yourself. You can do things that night, that day, to celebrate yourself. And if you are a recovering SLD and you're self-love abundant, then you have already learned that self-love is infectious. It's fun. It doesn't need a reason. It doesn't need to prove anything. And it doesn't necessarily need to happen to avoid a consequence or to get something positive. It just happens because it comes naturally. Loving yourself is so important in our lives, and you guys who are embroiled in the path of self-love deficit disorder, SLDD, codependency, you know that this is hard to attain, impossible to achieve. That you either are alone, feeling lonely and filled with shame, or you're in a relationship feeling alone, lonely, and filled with shame. The difference is, if you're in a relationship, there's a narcissist who has a vested interest in making sure that you do not feel good about yourself, because that is a threat. Narcissists, pathological narcissists, are parasites. They need our self-love. They need what we can give them, what we have. They need everything from us in order to feel good about themselves. And it's never enough. It's like this bucket that is filled with holes. For we recovering SLDs, the pursuit of self-love abundance is hugely threatening to them. Hugely. For us to be strong and have self-esteem and believe in ourselves and make sacrifices based upon the greater good of us, for us, about us. That is scary, frightening, and threatening. So when a narcissist spends most of the year being narcissistic, and there's all different variations of pathological narcissism. There's the sociopathic type, ASPD, Antisocial Personality Disorder. There's the covert narcissist who has Narcissistic Personality Disorder and has sociopathic traits. There's the garden variety narcissist with Narcissistic Personality Disorder. And then there's the person with borderline personality disorder who loves you intensely, beautifully, purely. It is an love that transcends description until something happens and they feel abandoned, wrong, hurt, let down, or criticized. It could be something tiny or something bigger, and then they snap. They then go into this hatred, this loathing, this self-destructive motivation to snuff you out, to hurt you, to punish you. And this only makes sense if you are in a relationship with someone who has BPD and you are the SLD, because that means you stay and you understand that eventually they come around and they feel bad, they experience sadness, guilt, remorse, and they go back into this belief system where that you become idealized, the relationship becomes idealized. They remember how much they love you, and then they put efforts into showing you that. And it's a vicious, vicious cycle. So that's BPD, NPD, ASPD, pathological narcissist. On Valentine's Day, they want to make sure that they get to experience the joy, the fun, the excitement, the pleasure of romantic connection. They either know that there's really nothing and they got to pretend, and that would be the covert narcissist and the person who has got antisocial personality disorder, or they're oblivious to it, and that is the person with NPD, the garden variety narcissist, or they are fragmented where they love you one moment and then they hate you the next, the person with BPD. All of them want Valentine's Day to go perfectly. Whether it's to live in the moment and enjoy selfishly them having you make them feel good about themselves and making them believe that it's true, lasting, romantic love. Or they are manipulative, sociopathic, where they know, the covert narcissist and the sociopath, they know that they don't care about you. They know that they don't really need to spend much time making you feel loved, adored, wanted, to give you this romantic feeling of desirability. They know they don't give it to you. They know that they don't put much effort into it. But when it comes to Valentine's Day and other similar holidays or events, they are going to do everything they can to prove to you, gaslight you, to believe that this holiday and the way that they treat you is proof of their enduring, long-lasting, and deeply felt love. It's a scam. It's a sham. Whether BPD, NPD, or ASPD, they have something to prove, either to make themselves believe something that has never been true, that they need you to be a part of this play of sorts that gives them this romantic feeling of importance, lets them feel like the lover, the companion that will take care of, love, and nurture the other person. It's a delusion. They know it. They know that they really don't care. They have to put it on to make you believe that this is true, so they can not only feel the affection and the good stuff that comes with Valentine's Day, but they can also reinvent the relationship that has been faltering, that has been dying, that has been strangulated, that upon February 14th, Valentine's Day, they get to show you, gaslight you, how much they love you and your meaning. And if you're not an SLD or a codependent, you're not going to be in a relationship, because that's what the human magnet syndrome theory says. But you are obviously a codependent, someone with SLDD, because that's my specialty. And you're probably coming to my podcast or my YouTube video for this reason. You are going to want, need, crave this affection, this adoration, the roses, the dinner, the chocolate, the special treats, the special attention. You're going to be starving, and probably perpetually starving, and you're going to be satiated in a moment, and you're going to generalize that as reality. So as much as I talk about the Valentine's Day narcissist, one could say that, well, there's a Valentine's Day SLD, because it takes two to tango. It's the dance. It's the major premise of the human magnet syndrome. The leader, the taker, needs a follower, the giver. And together they dance effortlessly without stepping on each other's toes. So the Valentine's Day narcissist is going to make them feel good by pretending something that never existed and can't exist. There's no room for two people in a narcissist's life. It's all about them. They're parasites. I've said it before and I'll say it again. They live on the host resources. The parasite that sucks the blood out of an organism or an animal. The parasite that survives while making the host sick. Well, it's the same with a narcissist and SLD. They need SLDs to feel good about themselves. They need the SLDs to build this delusional belief that they're great, they're good, they're lovable, they're beautiful, they're intelligent. Whatever is in the narcissist's mindset and represents their pathological narcissism, they need it from you. And they need Valentine's Day to go well so that they can believe that they have something that they never had, to give something that they never gave unconditionally, and to feel something that is only temporary and fleeting. And SLDs fall prey. They are the quintessential victim to the Valentine's Day narcissist because they're starved. I mean, who wouldn't love just special treatment, nice cards, treats, chocolate, dinner, whatever comes with the narcissist's plan to show how wonderful and beautiful and loving they are, when in reality, it never happened. To the Valentine's Day narcissist, the holiday is a chance to recreate what never happened and never could happen. And depending on which diagnosis they have, they could either know they're doing it, like they have sociopathic traits or are sociopaths, or are oblivious and just believe it's true. And if you're an SLD and you're listening to this podcast or watching this YouTube video, I say to you, stop the lie. Stop pretending. Stop the charade. Valentine's Day is not real. You are being gaslit. You are being conned. And you are somewhat responsible. Now, let me be clear. I never hold the victim responsible for the abuse that they experience. But if you've been following me, you know that I hold the SLD, the codependent, responsible for their relationship choices and ultimately the sacrifices that are necessary to save themselves, to extract themselves from the narcissist and the relationship. And if they're a parent and they have children, to save them or to protect them. Because if we don't take responsibility, well, how are we going to get better? There's a lot of videos and podcasts out there that malign and nail the narcissists and go on and on about why they're bad and nasty and why you should avoid them. Well, for the most part, most of that is true. But the solution is not included because the solution is virtually impossible. SLDD is an addiction as well as it is a trauma disorder. And if you followed me, you know I have that pyramid to explain exactly what SLDD is. And it's at the bottom is attachment trauma. Then there's core shame, pathological loneliness, and this addictive compulsion to make the pain go away. And the only way it does is through a relationship. Then on top of the pyramid is everything that makes an SLD or a codependent be that way. Well, if you are that way and you want to face Valentine's Day in truth, be honest. You don't necessarily have to stand up to the narcissist and saying, no way, I'm not going out to dinner or I'm not doing this or that, because that might be risky. And in my treatment program, my self-love recovery treatment program, I have a stage. It's preparing for the narcissistic storm. And that stage in the treatment program can sometimes last up to 4 weeks. It's just going through all the possibilities of what happens when you set a boundary. What's the consequence? What's the consequence of the consequence? What happens when you say this? So if you are self-love deficient and you crave self-love and you're willing to face the delusional aspects of Valentine's Day and the trap that narcissists pull you into on Valentine's Day by getting you to believe something that never was and never will be, then I want you to look forward to the next Valentine's Day. Then I want you to look at this Valentine's Day. And if not this one, the next one, as a celebration of your love for yourself. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds weird and impossible. But I promise you, I've seen this over and over again. I've experienced it myself. When you have self-love abundance, everything is different. Being alone is a time to reflect on yourself. It's a time to do things that you like. Or sometimes you could be lonely or bored, but not that pathological bone-aching loneliness. And to celebrate your love, to acknowledge the progress that you have made to building it, then I say every Valentine's Day until you are in good self-love recovery, celebrate yourself. Celebrate how much you love, respect, care, trust, and protect yourself. And if you're an SLD, do what you have to do to get through this Valentine's Day. It might be dangerous to start spouting off and confronting the narcissist and using any part of this video. I say this in my Human Magnet Syndrome book and my Codependency Revolution book. Do not let them know you're reading the book. Do not share with them what you are learning because they will use it against you to undermine your recovery, your progress, and they'll have more information, more data for them to come up with a plan to tear you down. So I say to all of you SLDs or people that love, and for people that have dear ones, loved ones who are SLDs, let this Valentine's Day not be a day of delusion, a day of illusion, a day of self-lies, self-manipulation. Let it be real. Fake it if you have to in order to survive, so you can come up with a plan to work on yourself, heal those wounds that keep perpetuating this SLDD. I mean, that's why this program that I offer takes a little while, because it's just not teaching you these things. It's not saying, just love yourself and say this, look in the mirror and blah, blah, blah. It takes a while. There are many aspects, many elements that support a lifelong struggle with SLDD. I wish it could be done sooner. I wish my recovery program could happen more quickly. But when it does happen and you go and you start to feel self-love, it's actually one of my favorite parts of the treatment program, because it is just remarkably, it's wonderful, it's beautiful to see someone start to have these feelings of respect, having these feelings of calmness and love for themselves, and know that they're not going to give them to anyone else who's going to exploit, use them against them, or hurt them. And they have a smile on their face. Their whole facial, it's like the muscles in their face change. And when you get into self-love abundance, things are different internally, affectively. And, you know, it's interesting because when we smile, and don't quote me, but a natural smile, I think they called it a Duchenne smile, has, and it's a guess, I could be wrong, but there's like 8 muscle groups and 48 muscles that are in motion with a natural smile. But when you are faking a smile, there's like 8 of them. So when I see someone in self-love abundance and they carrying the burden, the heaviness of SLDD, they seem lighter. Their face reflects the lightness and love. So in lightness and love, I wish you the very best February 14th. Whether it's a day to survive, to get to the next days of self-love, or a day to celebrate your love for yourself. If you would like more information about anything I said, go to my website at selfloverecovery.com. Drop us an email at help@selfloverecovery.com. You might want to subscribe to my Patreon program that has all sorts of behind-the-scenes content, extra content that I don't usually release, that is available to the subscribers. And we're going all the way to the beginning, the Self-Love Recovery Mailbag. Leave a question for me in the comment section if you're watching a YouTube video, or send us an email with your question that you would like me to answer at the end of the next video I do. help@selfloverecovery.com. Happy Valentine's Day. Be safe. And just remember, there's nothing more important than self-love. Bye-bye.